Now let's get more on this from Justin Crumper, himself a UK military veteran. He's also the founder and CEO of Karoline, a risk and intelligence consultancy based in London. Justin, both Denmark and Greenland have stated their willingness to cooperate as allies, to continue to do so. So why is Trump so insistent on getting or owning Greenland?
Yeah, the national security imperative is what he talks about. But I think, frankly, this is about what he promised in his inaugural address to territorial expansion in the United States, and particularly the resources believed to be available in Greenland. Now, of course, they've never been properly exploited because Greenland is mostly covered in an ice sheet. But as the world changes, as the priorities for rare earth minerals and things like that change, then, of course, it becomes more attractive to own that particular piece of territory. And as you point out in the previous report, it is strategically located, particularly as northern sea lanes potentially open up. China, the other player that Trump often mentions, it's not big in the Arctic at the moment, but of course one day there are routes from China to Europe that go over the pole in a way that's not been possible to date. So there's increasing focus on the Arctic in general, but the reality is the US has a security agreement. It can put forces there. It used to have much more forces in Greenland. The security of Greenland is not particularly threatened, and that could be met without occupying or taking the territory. There is no we have to have it unless you want it for mineral resources.
Now, let's look at the three options the US has for Greenland: waging an influence campaign, making a deal, essentially buying it, or military intervention. Which do you think is most likely?
I mean, they've tried the first two, as we just identified in the report. And the influence campaign continues. Us discussing this as part of the influence campaign, frankly, everything we're seeing, the appointment of an envoy and all the rest of it, is all part of that influence campaign. We know that deals have been proposed. We know that Trump sees this, as he said in his own words, as a real estate negotiation deal. And of course, the US is running a bit high at the moment, though, on the success of military operations. And there's a reason that Greenland is in the news so quickly after Venezuela, which is obviously to exploit the shock effect of what happened with the capture of Maduro and to push that agenda. So military option is always available. It would frankly be a very easy military option for the United States. It's not far away. It's very difficult to defend. It's arguably under-defended by Denmark against the sort of threat that the US would pose. And 57,000 inhabitants, the US could fly in enough people in a single airlift to have one soldier for every 5 inhabitants of Greenland. So it's not militarily challenging at all. The problem is what that means for the NATO alliance, what that means for transatlantic relations. That's the real impediment. It's not the fact that military action would be difficult. It's the fact that the consequences are unknown at this time. So military threats at the moment are part of deal making. But eventually, I think Trump would be inclined to say, well, if you won't make us a deal, we have to have it. I'll take it. I bet you'll then wish you took the deal. That's the way that he likes to approach these things. That's the narrative we're expecting in the coming months.
Now, you're a former soldier yourself. You've been a tank commander with deployments to Afghanistan, Bosnia, Iraq and Kosovo. You having fought alongside troops from other nations, how does it make you feel and other soldiers feel when the very fabric of a successful and reliable alliance like NATO is threatened by its most important member?
I mean, yeah, I've worked with America for so long that I ended up marrying an American. It's a very challenging situation, I think. The very roots of the Western military alliance coming under threat with the rhetoric alone at the moment coming out, the idea that a NATO member country could lose a significant portion of territory against its will to their biggest ally and longest serving ally. And of course, Denmark took proportionally more casualties than almost anyone in Afghanistan in response to an Article 5 call from the United States itself within NATO. So, I mean, it challenges deep at the heart of transatlantic relations. I think, it's very, very hard to overstate how shocking that is for particularly members of European militaries. Interesting, US commentators say, well, Congress would never allow Trump to use force and threaten the alliance. I think they may be over-optimistic. It's certainly interesting European commentators are much more pessimistic on the consequences here. So, very divided at the moment in terms of thinking. Many people, of course, saying that the alliance must trump all. And for the UK and France in particular, trying to tread this tightrope between getting Ukraine finished in a satisfactory way with US support makes it very hard for the UK and France to say anything about Greenland at the same time. And of course, that's offering an opportunity to Trump to increase his leverage in negotiations at the moment.
Justin Crump, CEO of Sibylline. Thank you very much for sharing your expertise with us.